there. All right, so there's this New York Post story where they had an interview with Usain Bolt talking about Sha'Carri Richardson, and basically the headline is a bit misleading because he does say train more, but as you can see, the quotation marks don't extend to and talk less. That was sort of added there, right? So Usain Bolt's advice for Sha'Carri Richardson: talk less, train harder. He didn't put those two things. If you look at the actual quotes here, zoom in on that third paragraph, fourth paragraph there, Travis said, I would tell Sha'Carri to train harder and to be focused and not say too much. If you talk that big talk, you have to back it up. So just train hard and focus on that and try to come back, do it, and then talk about it. So he didn't actually use the phrase train harder, talk less. So want to clarify that point. But I did want to bring up two things. Number one, Gordon, it was just a couple weeks ago, maybe it was a week ago, when Bolt was quoted saying she brings spice to track and field. So I don't know what changed from Bolt's opinion. He went to be like, hey, this is amazing. This is great for the sport, to now giving advice. Two, and I know that it wasn't the direct quote here, but the whole idea of train more, talk less has always been funny to me in any sport, right? You have 24 hours in a day. Let's say you sleep for 10 of them because you're an elite athlete. That's 14. Say you train for 5 of them. That leaves you 9 hours to talk all you want. You can be tweeting so much in 9 hours. The idea that you can't do both, the idea that somehow giving an interview or posting on social media is somehow inhibiting your ability to train. Like, I was going to do an extra set of 200s, but I got to go check my Instagram comments. So I'm not going to do those today. I always thought that was silly that people thought that way in sports. You can say, hey, shouldn't talk at all because you're going to motivate your competitors. All right. I disagree with that, but you can have that opinion. But the idea that there's this binary choice between you can either talk trash or train and you can't do both is comical to me.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that you shouldn't talk too, that you should only train is why the sport isn't as popular because if no one is talking and everyone is just busy training in a black box with no one around and no one to
Yeah.
see, what are we doing here? What type of sport is this? Like we want to see people win, we want to see people lose. We want to see people overachieve. We want to see people underachieve because people flop, people upset. It's all part of watching competition. So I was just thinking about this. What if this is my Galaxy Brain hat, putting on my Galaxy Brain hat right now?
Hmm.
What if this whole post Olympics that Sha'Carri has been doing with, getting dead last in pre, still talking all of her shit, going on to Europe and not running well there, still talking shit. Meanwhile, the Jamaicans are just kind of laughing it up because, like, they finally got their moment to kind of shut her up, quote, because they beat her head to head. And obviously, what Elaine and Shelly Ann and Sharika are doing is amazing. But what if Sha'Carri actually secretly is in good shape and is running ability to run a 10-7 and a 10-6 in a perfect situation? And she is just sandbagging the 2021 Diamond League season because she recognized, hey, winning these races means shit. I'm still gonna be like valuable, famous, regardless if I win or lose. So if I lose, that's gonna give the Jamaicans a thought that I don't have it anymore, and that in
Mm.
2022 they're gonna come in
Wow.
little underrating me because they're going to think, well, she sucks now because we beat her in pre. So therefore, when
Interesting.
she's back in Eugene and back racing them, she's going to catch them by surprise and beat them. She's like, kind of doing a little rope a dope. It's like
Mm.
that meme of that old man who is getting like hijacked at the car, and he's like, oh, I'm hurt. And then he pulls up a gun and points it at the person. Not today. I feel like maybe Sha'Carri is
Wow.
pulling a little not today, where she's having a shitty 2021 summer to kind of surprise the competition in 2022. Thoughts?
That's Gordon's Galaxy Brain take of the day. We need to get you a special like shirt or like a hat or something that you put on when you go with the Galaxy Brain. take. Yeah, no, I don't think that's accurate at all. Here's what Bolt could have said, or what you could have said. The reason she got beat was because she's running against two of the best of all time, and they're just better than her right now, right? Like that's the answer here. I know it's a
No, that's
lukewarm
not the
take,
answer.
and it's not
Because she
galaxy
got beat
brain.
by. That's not
True,
the answer.
true, true. You're saying like she still should have gotten third in those races, and she was getting eighth.
Yeah.
I get that point. This is more a response to what Bolt is saying, or to anybody out there who thinks because you tweet it makes you slower somehow. It doesn't. If you run against someone who runs 10:54, you're gonna get beat unless you were FloJo at one race in the Olympic trials in 1988. That's it. Like if you're running at Shelly and Fraser Price and Elaine Thompson Raw, it's not going to go very well in 2021. That's just been the reality of it. So I know it's not a hot take. It's lukewarm at best, but you people can dissect all the different angles about why she ran what when. But I think that's the bottom line here. Did you watch this interview, by the way? The Bolt interview?
No, it's a video
Okay.
interview?
So there's a video interview embedded on the top. It is uh, interesting to say the least because the interviewer asks Bolt, if you were to recommend a playlist for Sha'Carri, what would it be? What do you think Bolt says? What type of music do you think he recommends?
Caribbean music? Oh, no, does he
No.
recommend his song?
Yeah, his album. His album.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it became very clear to me at this point why the interview was granted and the conditions of the interview. And hey, we've all been there before.
Great song.
Because they basically she had to the interviewer had to shoehorn in this question so he could plug his album. So then he starts talking about how she would like this song or that song in his album. So he got the plug for the record out there as well too. But I don't know why if you're interviewing like if I was like, hey, Gordon, what's producer Colt? What sort of music do you think we could get him to listen to make him a better producer? Like I don't think that was like no one's mind goes along that track.
So did Sha'Carri tweet any, like, response? Did she, like, react to this headline?
I did not see any, and I know she has no basically limits. There's nobody off limits to her, but I think Bolt might be the one
Maybe Bolt
person.
is that person who's off limits.
Maybe there is, maybe there is one person off limits, and it would be Usain Bolt. And again, he wasn't being like I actually like I said, I actually watched the interview, and he was being typical Bolt here, where he was trying to be uh I want to say I want to say see both sides to everything, right? I mean, Bolt is like I just think about Bolt, and in the interview he mentions Gatlin talking a lot of crap, which is I mean Gatlin didn't really talk that much crap, but do you remember the last Bolt Gatlin thing at the press conference where Bolt was like defending him basically in the
Yeah.
press conference? Like that's what I remember about Bolt. So I think he kind of tries to avoid conflict in most situations, and he was basically saying with her like, hey, yeah, maybe she should talk less, and she'll get less grief and stuff too, but yeah, he did talk about Gatlin was always talking, which I don't. I mean, someone have to
Gatlin
bring up.
literally Gatlin literally bowed down to him after he beat him.
Dude, this is what. So this is what I'm saying. This is what happened during the Bull era. I said this, I think, on a previous pod. So I apologize if I'm someone knocking on this door. I apologize if I'm repeating myself. But basically, what would happen is the U.S. men would run fast at trials or at USA's. A reporter would ask, "You ready to take on the Jamaicans and Usain Bolt?" And the Americans would respond, whoever it was, would be like, "Yeah, we're not afraid of anybody." And then the headline would be, "Americans not afraid of Bolt." And then Bolt would say, "Oh, really? Why aren't you afraid of me? I'm the world record holder. I got all these gold medals." But it's completely manufactured. Nobody ever thought Bolt. The only time Bolt was under pressure was 15 when Gatlin was having that amazing season. And to Bolt's credit, he pulled it out. And then obviously that last championship there in 17. But no other time were people questioning Bolt because there's just a level you can't talk trash to somebody who's that much better than you and that much of an icon in the sport. It just falls flat. So yeah, literally people are bowing down to him.
Should we get into some emails?
Yeah, I think there was one other. I forgot what else I was going to say. Oh, he says, speaking of not wanting to be controversial, they ask him about the marijuana rule, and he's like, "It's not my place to say." And I thought, you know what? You're retired, man. You can have an opinion on this. You're not alienating anybody. And then he went into the rules are rules thing. And I was like, man, if Gordon heard you say rules are rules, you saying he would be very disappointed with you. I just thought it was I, he clearly has an opinion about it. So when he says I don't really want to say and you just need to follow the rules, I think he wasn't being entirely forthcoming, but I think he's been conditioned to just kind of stay middle of the road on
No
everything like that.
comment. Yeah, just kind of be like, be
Yeah, but I
switching up
mean,
on
you're
the topic.
retired.
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay, if you polled, this is the last thing, and then we'll get off. If you polled athletes, do you think marijuana should be on the ban list, even if they don't use it or don't use it? Is regardless. What percent do you think would be in favor of keeping it versus not keeping it?
I mean, I think people in favor of keeping it would be like 5%.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think
General
most
public,
athletes don't care. Yeah, I think
general
it's
public
similar.
would be like 20% tops, maybe 15 or something.
Well, general public, there'll be people who just don't understand. They'll be like, "Oh, I feel like it's a bad thing," you know?
Yeah,
But I feel like the athletes would recognize, like, I know what the bad stuff is. It's called HGH. It's called
yeah,
testosterone. It's
yeah.
called blood
So
doping. It's not
my
a doobie.
my All right, grandpa. So basically, what I'm saying is, he didn't really risk alienating anybody. He should have been like, yeah, she should have followed the rule, but the rule should be changed. It's ridiculous that marijuana is banned because it would be. I think it would be really strange for him not to have that opinion. Like, I don't think there's many athletes, as you said, maybe 5% of athletes out there who are like, I'm gonna really put my flag in the ground. Marijuana should be banned. We need to clean up the sport, and my cause is marijuana. Get it out of the sport. It's causing issues. Can't have it. Reefer madness. All right. Email, FloTrack Podcast at gmail.com is the email.